My name is Shun. I'm a co-founder of Toy 8. And I'll explain a little bit about Toy 8 at the beginning. But before we go into our service, the reason why I started Toy 8 is I'm actually mild dyslexia. And the way I see letters is exactly like this. You can actually read it. So I didn't know until when I was 19 years old, when I went to UK. I naturally chose art as my pathway because even though I was really curious student, I was very bad at academic scores. So I thought about my future and I didn't think that I can cope with something related to reading and writing. So I went to UK to study art. And luckily at the time, I don't know about now, but in UK, all the art students had to take dyslexia test. Then I found out, and doctor said that, congratulations that you graduated high school. You must be having very hard time. But I didn't know. I thought, and I was kind of released rather than upset because I thought I was stupid. Just naturally, I wasn't good at learning, even though I love learning, love to know new things. And the doctor told me that when you want to learn things, you must learn through experience rather than reading. It's just different way of processing, or maybe through dialogue. So you can learn as much as who are a good reader, or everyone else. So after that, I became a parent. Then I started to think about why I couldn't find out this when I was 6 years old, so I could fix it. And also, if I knew that I'm a little bit different to process the information, then my learning journey could be better. Then I started Toy 8. And Toy 8, we started in Malaysia. And there's a lot of context. So before I explain a little bit deeper, I have a video to explain.
Malaysian children are facing a problem of developmental delays after lockdown. Even though early intervention is crucial for children with developmental delay, we don't have developmental screening program here. And without screening, we can't help or offer early intervention when we don't know what the problem is.
Toy 8 screening is the world's first digital developmental screening for preschoolers. Children can enjoy 20 minutes game that measure the different developmental areas.
What is a bed used for?
Our system can score and analyze in each area and report any unusual attribution of their development.
We transform face-to-face screening conducted in Japan and Western countries by turning them into games. It's entertainment transformation as well as digital transformation.
This tool can be delivered immediately nationwide to schools, hospitals, locals, as well as indigenous communities.
With Cabinet Minister's participation, the National Recovery Council approved Toy 8 as a screening tool for the recovery of Malaysian preschoolers. The screening has also used as an employee benefit program in large companies. A project with the National Child Data Research Center to make screening mandatory in public kindergartens has also been initiated.
We hope that the screening will become an infrastructure and a service that children in Malaysia and Southeast Asia can benefit from. This initiative will have a significant impact on children's development.
Toy 8 is funded with our co-founder, Masaki, who is also Japanese. And our commitment is to support child's development. And we focus in Southeast Asia. We started from Malaysia. And our teams consist of technology team, including Nintendo game director, as you saw it, is a game experience. So we want to make sure that it's Japanese and it's super fun. And also education team and healthcare team to develop our system. And also we focus in measuring our impact and feedback from through research. So we work with Malaysian Ministry of Health, universities, and some of the research institutes local there. And we make sure that they are third party, so we don't judge by ourselves. Rather, we get data and evidence from third party to make sure that our measurement and impact is not biased by ourselves. And the video actually you saw was made 2 years ago, just after the lockdown. At the time, as someone said in the video, they saw the issues after lockdown because Malaysian lockdown was really strict. So they didn't have much environment to learn and grow over 2 years. And they knew it, something wrong, we had to do something, but we didn't have solution. And now they become a formal education students. And last year there was a big backlash about first year students. Actually 27% of entire standard one, year one student cannot read, write, and count, which had never happened before. In the US, Japan, or most of developed countries provide developmental screening because it is important. During 0 to 6 years is a golden age, and 90% of the brain and neural development actually happen in here. That's why in Japan we have every time you go for vaccination, there is a checkup, and also there's formal screening in the first year, third year, and 5 years old to make sure that the developmental milestone is up to the standard. If not, then they give as early intervention as possible because the growth curve is so rapid. Even though some children may fall to a disability group, if you find it early enough, they grow it and improve it, and then they can enroll to the mainstream schools. My first daughter actually experienced 2 years of lockdown in Malaysia. So I also worry as a parent. And then that was when I found out in Malaysia, and most of Southeast Asian countries don't have developmental screening. Even in Singapore, it is not mandated like Japan. So there's very long waiting list to get developmental screening. And what actually Japan practices is like this. This is actually 3 years old developmental screening. And this is a fine motor test, very simple. The lady shows the blocks and asking child to make the same blocks. So this is checking fine motor skill, which is brain, hand, eye coordination, which leads to writing. This is cognitive test, checking if he understands long and short concept, turning around to make sure that he really understands which one is long lines. Got it correct. And same cognitive test, checking big and small concepts. So those very, very simple tests can actually check child's developmental milestone. And I thought, why can we do it in digital format? Because that doesn't necessarily mean trained specialist. So first, we made developmental screening in digital format. So you can see in the middle, there's a mobile, and it will facilitate different types of developmental screening to cover cognitive tests. This picture is showing stacking blocks, and the camera is actually counting how much she can pile the blocks. And this product is developed together with local Malaysian specialists, as well as working together with Ministry of Health to make sure that it is compatible with local standard. And as I said, we make sure the experience is super fun. In Japan or other countries, it often happens because you have to bring your children to hospital or healthcare center, which is a little bit scary for children. And even though the child can speak, they may freak out and can't speak. But this, we are working with the government to implement it through preschool. So it's much more friendly, familiar place with teachers next to her. And of course, it's game. So we can actually accurately track the developmental milestones. And currently, our product is provided for 3 to 5 years old children, because in Malaysia, there's a vaccination program until 3 years old. And then there's a big gap until next vaccination, which is 7 years old. And then we want to cover that gap. After developmental screening, we have intervention program. We are expecting about 10 to 15% of the children who has developmental delay. So for those who has developmental delay, we have over 3,000 different games for different developmental milestones and different developmental areas. So if, let's say, this child, Emma, has got speech delay, for example, we have special individualized education program selected and tailor-made for her. And based on this, again, we provide this 10 minutes intervention program through kindergarten. So the teacher can actually provide intervention program daily basis without specialist presence. Okay, so those are our products. We've been trying to implement this for a couple of years. We see the results is quite well. The impact is quite well. But we're trying to work with government to make sure that it take roots and changing the system. So this is actually what the government is facing from the society point of view. If you have a developmental delayed children, but you haven't noticed, you go to school, the school will deny. Sorry, I can't take your child. Your child may wait for another 1 year to enroll. You go to another school, then turn down again. Then the same happens. Then the parents goes to intervention center or hospitals. Then they realize that there's really long waiting list, starting from 6 months. The longest we have 3 years old, 3 years of waiting time, doing nothing, not going to school, just waiting for 3 years of very important golden ages of 6 years. But the issue is the school side that not being harsh. They just don't know how to accept them and manage as inclusive classroom. For the intervention center or hospital side is simply a lack of specialists. So they have limitation as capacity. So what we are trying to do, working together with local government, is that we first ask government to bridge between preschools and intervention centers to work together and connect. And we train teachers to be able to use our tool as well as accepting and managing students in inclusive classroom setting. And we also introduce specialists to connect through WhatsApp. So the teachers has WhatsApp group that they can post any questions or take photos or videos, asking questions on the ground. And then it's a hotline. So in few hours, they get a reply. So they become confident. So by training and making this ecosystem as city by city, it's been working pretty well. And because school side has been very confident and familiar to accept children with developmental delay, they start to accept more and more children through from hospitals and intervention centers, which will make space from their capacity so that we can eliminate the intervention center side. So that's how we are working and pushing. This is a realistic model to practice it without rich resource like Finland. They practice it. They can do it because they have enough manpower and enough capital to support each children individually. Whereas Southeast Asian, we try to introduce technology to be more realistic, but it's actually happening and making big impact. And one state that accepted this program, we worked together, the states of Sarawak in Malaysia. We've been working together with them over 2 years. And now we've been expanding the project year by year. And they are actually trying to be pioneer in ASEAN countries, being inclusive education city. And they support us to also be on the media and in the city. The state assembly, the minister always introduce these programs' impact. And through Asia 21 network, it was very supportive, and we had a lot of support to strategize and also strategize the media exposures. So we got many coverage from TV, nationwide news papers, and so on. But also we are preparing with Asia 21 alumni. We made a policy paper, and MOH is supporting us to make it a mandatory program nationwide in Malaysia. And since last year, we also roll out to Singapore and Indonesia. So we have been aggressively moving out of Malaysia, as well as working and implement it in Malaysia. Yeah, so that's all from my introduction.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shozo Kamiya, founder of Ambitize Inc. Now I live in the United States and operating mental health clinic for Asian people using AI and human hybrid structures. In United States, everybody says US health system is completely broken. Especially 45 million immigrants like us are truly underserved. The therapy is very expensive, and I live in near the Stanford University, and now 25% of Stanford University students is Indians. But only 5% of therapists is Asian. So due to cultural differences and different stigma consciousness and linguistic barriers, only 6% of immigrants get appropriate mental health care. Especially wives are very struggling. Due to visa restriction, they tend to stop their professional careers and need to parenting their small child without their parents and old friend support. And when they go to the therapist clinic, since most therapists in the United States were white over 40 women, so they didn't understand immigrant challenging situation. So they tend to block their mental health status and go back to India or divorce. It typically happened. That's why we founded our own clinic in California and gathered Indian origin therapists at first who can completely understand their cultural background. As you know, India has very diverse culture and languages. Not only Hindi, there's a Marathi, Bengali, Telugu, Assamese. Many kind of culture is existing in India. It's very diverse countries. But when you see the biggest therapist matching platform in United States, Psychology Today, their selection is only Asian or Hindi. So they never meet their best therapist in the United States. We solve that problem at first. And secondly, we deliver AI therapist app who can talk with you 24 hours. Mental health patients tend to commit a suicide in midnight, 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. So we deliver 2 a.m. friend to them in the immigrant. And our multimodal video analytics catch your face and voice and gaze and gestures and find early signal of mental health disorder with AI analytics. So we deliver hybrid journey of AI and human therapist in us. Can I make this? This is our AI therapist. Sorry, it's not moving. Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, you can talk anything with this.
Anything specific that's feeling overwhelming?
Something overwhelming will definitely be the busy schedule. There are
Sounds good. I'm here whenever you want to chat. Take care and enjoy your cricket practice.
Thank you so much for being here. Bye bye. See you soon.
AI can catch users' gaze and voice and gestures and check mental health status of them. And with human mental health clinic, our AI also watching over therapist and patients interactions and analyzing all interactions. And we automatically create report to insurance companies. It's very annoying operation. Usually, after 50 minutes therapy session, therapist takes 30 to 40 minutes to writing report to insurance company to get reimbursement. We reduce 80% of therapist administrative work to therapist can focus more only for patient more and more. And our AI can predict 86% of mental health disorder. And we only assigned therapist and our AI app can share patients' information so they can deliver completely personalized therapy operation combined with AI therapist and human therapist. Yeah, so personalized cultural sensitive therapy is definitely needed for all immigrants. So we are trying to delivering it. US immigrant therapy is 21 billion market, and Indian immigrant who live in California can generate 0.4 billions. Yeah, and in the future, we want to expand our AI therapist solution to India to save many peoples. Yeah, our business model is very simple. We operating our own clinic and get therapy fees. And from this year, FDA allowed to prescribe AI therapy technology as medicine. So our AI clinicians prescribe our AI therapist, and we deliver AI therapist as medicine. So we can get insurance fee from both human clinician and AI therapist. Yeah, we covered almost all of US major insurance, Athena or Cigna or Blue Shield, United States or Beppu. In US, many immigrants, clinicians, like Indian therapists, operated by self-employed. So for self-employed clinician, it's very difficult to cover US major insurance. That's why immigrant therapy is very difficult to search. So we aggregate these immigrant clinicians and get huge coverage of insurance and deliver it. So many Indians now coming to our clinic, and we achieved 0% churn rate. Yeah. One of our technical advantages is mental health detection AI from free talk video. We've done many clinical trials for past 4 years in India, Japan, and the United States. And we can easily detect unipolar or bipolar or autism and anxieties. For example, even human clinician misdiagnosis bipolar disorder and unipolar depression. It's very difficult to distinguish. But our AI can distinguish such kind of situation. So our AI diagnosis support reduce misdiagnosis of these patients. Yeah, and we are the team of immigrants also. Now I and Kotaro and Shubham immigrated to the United States to deliver these immigrants mental health care. Yeah, unfortunately, we have very strong relationship with Indian top university, named IIT and IIMs. This year, over 13,000 IIT and IIM students applied our internship opportunity. It's over 60% of whole batches. So, and as you know, India, IIT and IIM is that there are 23 IIT schools and 20 IIM schools all over the India. That means we can easily coverage India's diverse cultures. So that's the reason we can cover India's diversity in our businesses. And it's very difficult that Japanese startup immigrated to the United States and distributed our businesses. But fortunately, almost all Indian immigrants who lived in California is IIT or IIM graduates and their families. So using their alumni network, we can easily distribute our solution. Yeah, and fortunately that we US and India and Japan's top medical institute collaborated with us to solve immigrants. And one of the unique challenges that we are collaborated with Yohei Sadoshima-san, the very famous editor of Japanese manga, and now we are doing POC to use Japanese famous manga anime character as our AI therapist. Yeah, we are currently working with IIT, one of the IIT Hyderabad, to prevent the commitment of suicide of students in India. And this year we are doing this POC to 577 students from 50 schools in India. And in this POC, we already found 16 severe depression students who didn't notice their status beforehand. So that means if we can deliver our service to 477 million Indian people, we can find 16 million severe depression Indian people who didn't notice their status. That will prevent commitment of suicide in India significantly. That's the reason we are keen to expand our solution to India. Yeah, we are continuously trying to create AI like as a new family to watching over your life and protect your happiness. So we start our business from Indian immigrant who lived in California and expand it to all over the US and expand it to India. And after that, we want to expand our solution to other Asian countries like Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese. Yeah, that's all of our businesses. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Shun and Shozo. It was two great presentations. So, I'm going to kick off, with a couple of questions, to you before we open up for the floor. Shun, you're working on kind of childcare program, early detection screening program. Just kind of wanted to start off, with a question, how did you survive, until you take the dyslexia exam? Kind of the entire education system, with such kind of challenges in your life. I thought, that would really impacted, the strong passion for the children's supporting program that you started. So, I would love to kind of listen more deeply about your background.
Thank you. Yeah, so as I said, I was very curious boy, but I tried it to learn. I tried it to score good. I tried it to study. So that there was a difference. There are kids, they don't try, but I tried. But I couldn't really do well. And so I don't have much memory of my parents scoring me. Rather, they try to look at my strengths. So that part I really appreciate of. So I was good at sport. I was playing football, and I was captain in from the kids club to until high school. And also I love art and design. And yeah, throughout my school days, I was also serious about my future. I kind of worried and thought through what should I do for my job, because I feel like I try 120%. I can't perform as good as even the average student. So I should be really serious. That's what I thought. And then I chose naturally sports. I didn't think I could be an athlete. Then art and design I chose. Yeah, so that was, that's my background on school days. Yeah.
I mean, you kept on, challenging yourself, and then you kind of reached the point where, you take that exam, and that actually changed the entire life. And then, you commit yourself to support others, who's going to be in, the same challenges. That's amazing. And, kind of, you are working so extensively, working with, not only as a startup, but also, working with the government and next generation, the other part of the leaders. And the question, that maybe kind of implications for Japan, we have this tatewari culture. And then, Ministry of Education, kind of other department, you're kind of driving the collaboration between, for example, the preschool and kind of intervention facility or the kind of hospitals. I imagine that could be very difficult to actually, the barriers is, very difficult to overcome in Japan. Kind of, how what is the kind of key a recipe for creating this kind of kind of go beyond borders kind of intersectorial collaborations through the power of entrepreneurship to create a societal change?
Sure. We still struggle to siloed institutions in Malaysia or other countries. But one of the things that I really appreciate our older generations of Japanese is the brand that they built up in Asian countries, especially Southeast Asian. particularly probably Malaysia, they have a special friendship between two countries over the history. And I didn't really realize, I understood, I knew it, they love Japan. But when we founded Toy 8, they believe us more than Malaysian education or healthcare companies. And I was quite surprised that they trust us because I'm a Japanese, or my co-founder is Japanese. So that was, it was very surprising, eye-opening all the time. And everywhere, not from only from the government, but also the people on the ground, they expect us to perform well because I'm Japanese before they actually see how we work with them. So I think that supports a lot, and I didn't really expect that to happen.
Kind of this kind of sense of trust for Japanese. I'm not like still quite figuring out how did you gain trust among Indian community, like kind of designing like a mental health care program. Meaning, if you are like kind of Indian, you might understand like Indians like kind of problems. But how did you like gain trust? Building bridges between like kind of Japan, India. Working on like launching I'm Beside You.
I don't have beers in that photo, but I got beer for diving Indian people. That's a small thing. But honestly speaking, I founded this company for my son. My son is very kind child, and after he entered elementary school, the one assignment was delivered from HDG's curriculum. How can we save poor country people's life? And my son answers, if I died, my food and energies could go to the poor country people and save several persons' life. I really shocked that answer, but I didn't want to change my son's kind of mindset. And at that time, I felt that, this society is something wrong. So I decided to change this society to save my son's life. That's the reason I founded this company and struggling with the mental health problem. So I always told this story to, of course, my co-founder and our team members and India young people. So they emphasize us because IIT, many IIT and IM students committed suicide every year. It's very competitive situation. So every competitive environment in the world, many people committed the suicide. So they lost their friends or families in this with this problem. So enormous kind of the emphasis are there. And fortunately, the viral is happened year by year. So applicant number is increasing year by year.
On a personal note, like I went to Stanford for business school.
Oh.
And the school model was change lives, change organizations, change the world. And how we are educated was, kind of to collaborate rather than compete by gathering all the diverse leaders, kind of from around the world. And then, kind of we put Stanford GSP, put students actually to work together, finding each other's differences as an opportunity to innovate the society. So I love that environment and culture. I try to bring that culture back to Japan to redefine Japanese kind of diversity to innovate the society past 15 years through the businesses. So I really emphasize with your project. And I was kind of trying to think about the way, because this is about the startup. And this is about the kind of competing in the capitalism.
Yeah.
But you both have kind of serious like passion and empathy in humanity and societal change. And that actually kind of unites us, like, as a Asia 21, because we really believe in, like, value-based kind of leadership. And then, like, how we actually kind of bridge our differences kind of through our practice of leadership. And then Duncan is here, kind of with our great senpai. So, before, like, I kind of, I'd rather, like, ask something more, like, kind of value-based, because, we are now very in, like, the world of kind of national interest. But how do you believe, as a leader, kind of to the next generation, you are working on the children, you are working, with your sons, kind of passion. What are the, like, things that your company or, like, this nation of Japan who's trusted among Asia from across the nation? Like, what kind of values that we can actually kind of give, hand over to the next generation, before, like, you kind of be retired, like, kind of be dead.
Connecting with my our Toy 8, we, as I said at the beginning, we try to measure our impact. For example, 1 year of developmental delay is equals to 9.7% of lifetime earnings of children, which is a really big amount. And also, if child can go to mainstream school or not going to mainstream school, and most likely if child goes to intervention track or disabled track, it's very hard to go back to mainstream. But we can actually change that their life if we find it early enough and giving right intervention. So I think, I don't know if it's a Japanese value, but using technology and really measure it and try to increase that impact, that will change children's future. That's what we really try and do, and that will motivate us as a team as well. So yeah, but I don't know if it's a Japanese thing or worldwide or our generation thing, but yeah, that's what really focus on. Yeah.
One of my challenge is creating AI therapist of Japanese manga anime character. It's very symbolic. And yeah, I really surprised that almost every Indian loves Japanese manga anime. And even in the Silicon Valley, everyone is coming to that kind of lovely anime event. And I feel that maybe we don't have enough economic market share, but we have enough mind share in the people all over the world. Everybody see Japanese manga anime in the childhood, and some loving character like Crayon Shin-chan is very popular. No, every Indian know Crayon Shin-chan. So it's kind of the originality of this domestic countries and our creativity and not so this apart from capitalism, they feel some kind of catharsis with this kind of the Japanese manga anime story. So sharing that kind of the context with people all over the world is a very strong advantage, I felt. So what is your favorite manga or kind of thing is I always enjoy such kind of talk with various kind of people. So starting from such kind of touch point and creating the circle of emphasis with diverse people is one of the way.
At some of the Asia 21 Japan Center's Rika sessions, we learned that 99% of manga and anime was read through Kaizokuban, pirates version. So now, big Japanese companies are trying to, kind of capture that opportunity by building a pipeline for, revenue generation using that manga. But I think, they kind of already have the access to all the contents, and then, generating labs for the Japanese contents that actually kind of inspires, your projects, to influence, and then using that like a brand equity, to create, generate more happiness and then well-being in the society across Japan. So I think that might be an interesting way for METI to look at your projects and then try to license more, kind of the manga rights, for you guys to actually kind of create a synergy. So, maybe the last question from me, but before Rika-san has one. My last question: you are leading such diverse teams, in Malaysia and the US and India. Kind of what's your tips for the kind of entrepreneur colleagues? Kind of because we are not necessarily kind of very aggressive, in leading in diverse sector environment, but how are you leading your diverse team to actually kind of create more synergy and achieve the shared goals through your business practices? It's not always kind of heavenly situation. Sometimes you have to be competitive. Sometimes you have to kind of win the race. So what's your leadership style and tips for your colleagues?
Again, I think I'm in the very fortunate environment that everyone loves Japanese at the first point. So in Malaysia, particularly, the Japanese company is a brand. So even though our company is not like major corporate, there is a competitive power for hiring. But if we want some talents, just I think do the same things. I write letter or meet to make sure that the talent will come to us as much as I do to the minister. Right, letter, I send flower. But we are confident that our company is doing the right thing and making an impact. So hiring is, we never really struggle to hire good talent. To manage, again, it is kind of, we are not struggling as we see the impact. So we are clear, even though there's some tough situation, we all understand we came together for one clear vision. And every day you see the numbers and also children who are actually improving from their developmental delay, which will change their future. So I think it's not so usual to get exhausted because of our workload. So yeah, I think vision of, and also a bit of luck being Japanese in an environment in Asian countries or Malaysia, is the where we are now. Yeah.
It's always difficult to managing diverse talent, but for example, when we hire new talent in India, I always visit that new member's home and say hello to their parents. That's very important when both of course, Indian people is very cherish their family relationship. So that's kind of the respect to their cultures. And we are a remote working company. But when I see this members' home and see what is that remaining in their rooms and their photo of childhood and what kind of families they have. I deeply understand their, each one's personalities. So that's super helpful to managing remote company like us is one thing. And secondly, that basically we prohibit to speak things in big manner, like Japanese blah, 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 or Indian blah, blah, blah. Of course, people are different, person by person. So never say it's kind of that talking that big start from big word. We strictly prohibit such kind of conversation in our company. So respecting each one's personality and at first recognizing every person is different and every person has different personality and start conversation of that is kind of the unique activity of our companies.
I really feel both your ethical fibers as startup entrepreneurs and business owners as well. But I guess the one question, simple question I have is as Japanese origin individuals, why are your businesses outside of Japan? And why did you start outside? So I think maybe different trajectories between you and yourselves as well. But just very curious as to なんでなんで日本の外なんですか is my simple question.
To me, I think my life choice is always niche because I think it's probably I felt like I couldn't successful in the mainstream from my school days. So the choice of going abroad to do art and design, which is not quite major pathway for everyone. So that's one thing. But I'm in Malaysia because I worked in advertising agency in Tokyo, but that was American company. And then I worked for over 10 years. Then I thought it's the time to explore again. And that was the time also when my first child was born. And when I think about where I want my children to grow up, maybe somewhere that's emerging, because when I was born, and when I start to see the news, that was economic bubble was busted, and that was kind of depressed atmosphere I felt, and after that, the country never seems to grow, unfortunately. And when I visit Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries, our generation, same generation, seems to have hope for tomorrow, and it's always they're hoping that it's going to be good for next year. It's better than this year, and it looks like it looked to me that something that I heard from my father and mother, and I wanted to feel and also spend time together with my family. That was the reason why I was outside of Japan. Yeah.
As I said, I just want to protect my son's life. Is my purpose to achieve that. Japan, the only activity in Japan is not enough. Our challenge to creating the product to decoding human communication is technically very complex. So we need to hire Indian top talent at first. That's why I went to India and started hiring Indian top talent. And about the mental health area, there's the market is not mature. Unfortunately, in Asia, almost all of Asian countries, market is not mature. But the US is the very, the mental health care is allowed by that one of the important health care programs. So to create best product in the world, I need to went to India, and to monetize it and scaling it to all over the world, I need to went to the United States.
My name is James Nazo. I'm a psychoanalyst from the United States. So I'm actually quite fascinated by what you're doing, Shozo. Two questions. We had a lot of experience during COVID in terms of using internet in terms of delivering psychotherapy. And one of the issues there are two issues that came up. One was the issue of licensure, and the second thing was the issue of malpractice. Now you're going into the United States. I'm sure India may be a little different, but in the United States, you've got the issues of licensure for psychotherapists. And the second thing is the issue of malpractice. How has your company been able to deal with the fact that you have to sort of deal with different licensure issues as you go to different states? In the United States, I'm licensed in Massachusetts. I can't go and see patients even over the internet if they're in New York City. I don't have a license in New York. So the question becomes, how do you sort of deal with the issue of licensure using an AI model? And then second thing is your company responsible for malpractice? Are the individual practitioners? If you're using AI as opposed to practitioners sort of delivering mental health, how are you sort of dealing with the malpractice issues? Again, maybe less of an issue in India, but it's certainly an issue in the United States.
Yeah, thank you very much. The first question, at first, now we are operating our own clinic in California state because California is has the biggest Indian immigrant population, and California is the most strict regulation about mental health care. So starting from California and create rigid mental health structure, and after that we expand it to the New Jersey or Texas or another states gradually. Is what we are planning to do. The the regulation and the rules are different state by state, and license is also different. So basically, we are operating our therapy online, but state by state, we are expanding. Our business is our basic strategies. And second one is that it's gradually expanding AI healthcare allowance area. So now we are, honestly speaking, we are doing many clinical trials in India and Japan previously, and applied our solution to FDA at once, but the FDA rejected our application since we didn't do any clinical trial in United States. So we again operating the new clinical trial with medical institute in New York, and now we are proposing a solution. So I believe FDA is that gradually permit such kind of AI diagnosis and AI support in such kind of healthcare operations. And we about the collaboration with clinician and AI. Now one of our patent is the sorry, it's kind of different. If our clinical director name is Tina-san, and if we create AI Tina-san from Tina-san's data, we revenue share revenue with AI Tina-san and human Tina-san. Is one of our patents. So what we are trying to do is not to rob the jobs from human clinicians, but to create new revenue with collaboration with cutting-edge AI technology is our challenge. So how to harmonize this kind of the AI technology and humans' work is one of the very important theme of our businesses.
Thank you very much. My name is Kyung Kim, and I'm an advisor to a venture capital firm in the Valley called Geodesic Capital. So as follow-up to what you just said, my older sister is a psychotherapist. So am I to understand that the human therapist does revenue sharing with the AI equivalent? So that's incentive for them to be part of your platform. Okay, that's great. I'm going to tell my sister that. uh, anyway, my question is, I'm curious to know what your funding journey was. How did you start your companies? Was it difficult, easy to get backing from perhaps a venture capitalist or a fund? I would love to hear that story. Thank you.
That's a good question. Honestly speaking, I started my company in Japan, and at first, I raised fund from Japanese venture capitals in seed round. But after that, I went to start expansion to India, and now I live in the Bay Area in the US. So kind of yeah, it's I can't imagine this situation at that time. So this kind of the, but now I think feel honest feeling the expectation of Japanese venture capital and expectation of US venture capital is kind of some kind of differentiation is existing. So maybe we are locating in some kind of wired situation, honestly speaking. So please advise me how to solve that situation.
For us, yeah, we also first fund we got is from Japan, and our investor is actually in Japan. So our company actually headquartered in Tokyo, even though we have a sister company in Malaysia. And yes, it's still not easy, but now we are not relying on investment, rather because we start to get donations through our impact report. And also we start to generate more revenue, so that will support to sustain without fundraising. But of course, we would like to raise more to invest and grow fast, like startup. It's a dilemma because even though we position us as startup, our clients are government. So even though they trust us, they continue to spend for our product, but step by step, that's their pace. And there's some gap between the expectation from the investors, how fast they would like to grow, they would like us to grow, and how fast we can actually push. So that's the kind of dilemma. So we need to, we still push and to grow fast. But yeah, the pace is not as fast as we wish to. So yeah, that's why we raise fund from family offices, from the government. Yeah, that's how we raise fund.
Thank you so much for the introduction. For someone who used to work in impact investing, it's wonderful to see Japanese companies making waves in the international market. So thank you so much. My question is more related to competition, both locally and globally. For example, in the mental health space, which I know a little bit more, I've personally seen quite a few Indian local players that are also online clinics / companions, perhaps, as well as virtually all the tech giants has launched their own algorithm to pick up both vocal and nonverbal cues to, in effect, analyze your emotional and behavioral issues through online communication, whether it's for education, mental health, sales, or other purpose. And it's not difficult to imagine them repurposing these more general purpose algorithm for more specific user cases, which you're working on. So if and when that were to happen, what do you think will be your defensive mode, whether it's your know-how through local partners or the tech itself or something else, which I thought would be relevant for future funding when you try to raise from non-Japanese investors who will view you as one of the global players, right? Not just a Japanese best-in-class example.
About the patents, we applied over 270 patents around this area, but it's not the, also it's one of the activity, but essentially our laser focus positioning in focusing in Indian immigrants at first, and backed by strong relationship between India, and we operate our own clinic by ourselves, not only delivering the digital AI services, but operating clinic and hired human clinicians and convergence. That is super unique approach, even in United States. And we operated our own clinic means our data is protected by HIPAA compliant. So even Google or OpenAI can't use our data to learning. So this kind of our unique positioning itself creating our mode automatically, and it combined our recruiting process and our company's cultures, and yeah, kind of the immigrants communities. Like this here is a very good community. So this kind of community relationship can't copy easily. So we deep dive into Indian immigrant community in the Bay Area and create strong ties. It's probably that's the most important mode for us.
For us, it's very simple because there's no developmental screening is happening. So there's no intervention program is provided nationwide. So for screening we are the first developmental screening actually implemented in this large scale. So there's no standard was set. So we set the standard, and if they use it, then that becomes, I think, a great defense. And plus intervention is always provided together with the screening. So that data is I think it's our great defense, and yeah, that's why we are trying to roll out as fast as we can, including Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, and any other neighborhood countries.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Mellon from Asian Tech Advisors. And I wanted to ask, I guess, both of these very impressive programs, like how do you measure your performance and success? I mean, we hear so much about like character AI, teens committing suicide, and you're identifying people with depression, for instance. How and also for learning disabilities among children, how do you measure like how good are your programs?
So at first, our important KPI is the number of users, how many users we can reach, and how many users we possibly save is one thing. And our mental health detection AI can check the degree of mental health disorder automatically. If you talk to our AI therapist, our multimodal video AI technology check your degree of mental health disorder. So we checking how our users' mental health status is relative change of our users' status. So how our user can getting better situation is essentially important for us. Of course, there are many kind of the financial KPIs like sales or operating profit is existing, but to realizing our vision that this number of users and relative change of their mental health situation is the final target of our businesses.
For us, for screening, digital screening, we have done clinical research to check whether the screening actually picking up for those who are developmental delay or identify those children who are fine as fine students. And that was pretty good. They exceed the score exceed a lot more than MOH, the Ministry of Health, expected. And we haven't really compared how good is it against Japanese developmental screening, but I've been showing this to many specialists in here, and they say that it's much better because it's human. It's done by human, and it's very subjective. It's analog. Plus, as I said earlier, the environment is different. Ours is at school, the familiar environment together with familiar teacher, and it's game. Whereas the setting in most of the other countries is you have to go to healthcare center, hospital, and had to face with healthcare specialists or doctors. So it's a little bit hard for children to perform as much as they can perform. So, so that's screening. And intervention, we are also just starting our RCT to see how much they can improve and see there's an organic growth. If we spend intervention for 6 months, they will grow for 6 months. But how much we improve more on top of their organic growth to through RCT, so it's coming. That's another things to measure and make sure that we are actually making impact. The last one is to do cost-benefit analysis, because we are working with the government that will spend taxpayers' money. So we have to make sure that we impact the society. And usually we learned from mostly the US that they check cost-benefit, how much it will benefit the society. So in our instance, if we provide screening and intervention for those children who are developmental delay, they will catch up. And then the society in the future will benefit through their lifetime earnings, healthcare reductions, criminal rate also decrease. So many, many things that society can benefit. So we will be starting our Malaysian version of cost-benefit analysis to prove that it is worth implementing it nationwide.
I'm Hendrik Gordenker. I'm a founding member here at the Japan Center. You have super interesting projects. I wonder if the learnings that you have developed in Malaysia, in California, in India, I wonder if you think there are possible applications in Japan for some of those things. Not necessarily that you do it yourself, but I sort of think about, well, screening in Japan, we don't have enough people. Maybe automating some of that would be good. And I certainly know we don't have enough therapists to handle situations here. We also have immigrant communities that are growing. Is there an opportunity to use these learnings in Japan?
Yeah, actually now we are pursuing that kind of the expansion to Japan with kind of the partnership. We don't have, we are startup, so we don't have enough resources to distribute concurrently in US or India or Japan. So about expansion to Japan, fortunately, I have some kind of relationship between the Japan business guys. So we are discussing the partnership for distribute our technology to Japanese market. And now we are discussing several candidates of our partners.
For us, definitely yes. And it's quite surprising that the Japanese, last week, Yamagata Prefecture government actually visit us because just like you said, there are short of manpower and our kind of ecosystem model that they are interested in to start working local intervention center and kindergarten to support children who are on the waiting list. And also the intervention provider from Hiroshima actually again visit us to learn and seek for the collaboration opportunity. I'm seeing two other intervention provider actually we are discussing to collaborate in here. So definitely yes, we definitely also want to. Since recently we get inquiries from many other possible partners, we thought Japan is already provided. They have their infrastructure and they're all fully supported. Yes, Japan is definitely advanced in terms of implementation, but the accuracy of the screening could be much better with our setting. And also the ecosystem model to work intervention center and school that we kind of implemented in Malaysia could be another way of cut so much of their costs. So yeah, we are definitely willing to implement it in Japan.
For Shun, what are the languages that's used for the child care development product that you have?
Yeah, we provide English, Malaysian language, Bahasa Melayu, and Indonesian, Bahasa Indonesia. So those are the three languages. But in Malaysia, we have Chinese population, over 20%, and 5% of Indian. So we are diversifying the language.
What are the ages of the AI-assisted therapies? So what are the ages of the therapists themselves conducting the program? Are they younger or are they older?
What's the patients with us?
Well,
it's typically middle age and young age is our patients. Young people become younger and younger. People become more open to talk about the mental health problem. So elderly people is most difficult to target for us, honestly speaking. But the children and parents who worry the children, like me, is become the target since they meet some need to taking care of the children, so they become familiar with that kind of narratives.
My question is about young people who would know how to use a microphone, unlike me. What the next generation? I mean, I'm sorry to make you feel old, but when we look to the Generation Z or A, even, you mentioned earlier you left Japan because at the time the bubble was had burst and so on. But now we see obviously a lot of employment opportunities for younger people in Japan. In fact, they're almost spoiled for choice. So we have that on the one hand. Is there going to be a supply of Japanese who are willing to go overseas to expand their frontiers, to go global? On the other hand, we see this massive soft power that you've talked about. I mean, manga in India and so on. And if Japanese entrepreneurs don't do this, like the Japan brand overseas, I think more and more gaijin are just going to take it. We saw that with like Superdry, which is a non-Japanese company in the UK. It's an interesting dichotomy. What do you see for, if we look at people who are now in their teens in Japan, on the one hand, maybe some are in international schools in Japan increasingly and may be more able to, be global citizens sooner. On the other hand, are they just too comfortable here in Japan? Is it going to be too difficult? Entrepreneurship is hard, as we've heard. Do you see signs from younger people today of interest in replicating what you've done, for example?
I'm 41 this year. and and for my generation, not the young anymore, but for example, we have 5 Japanese employees. They're all like my mindset that when they have a life event like getting married or having new baby, they would like somewhere outside of Japan. I think you know the reason. Whereas I have many friends who choose to stay in Japan. I think it's simply because of their language. That it's just they can't really imagine the life outside of Japan. So yeah. But if they expose to more people from outside of Japan or learning outside of Japan, then I think their mindset will be definitely changing. But I don't think it will change only for the people who have privilege to expose when they're young.
Our office is at Palo Alto, United States. Since 2 years ago, METI, Japanese government, opened the office named Japan Innovation Center.
On Homer Avenue, I think.
Yeah. That's already over 100 Japanese companies like startup or VCs are registered that office. And it's super great locations. So I love that office and we tend to go back. But there's a very, very few Japanese startups who immigrated to United States and going to Japan Innovation Campus. Honestly, only we is the immigrants. For after Japan Innovation Campus is founded. Another one is that already lived in United States and using Japan Innovation Campus is the real situation of the situation. So I think the Japanese startups quality, especially the operation quality, is quite good. So if same kind of amount of startup, Japanese startup is existing in the Bay Area, definitely some of them become unicorn, maybe become decacorn. So it's possible, I believe. But number of startups who start to live in the United States is very rare, at least now. So that's so I'm really regret about that, but that's the real situation nowadays. So I don't know how we can recover that situation and more openness. But yeah, hope if we get huge success as a person, coming to try to challenging more.
I think Asia Society can help as well.
Of course. We obviously have 17% of passport holding rate in this country, and only 1.6% of students study abroad. So we really have to start from there to actually encourage, kind of next generation leaders of Japan to kind of aspire bigger and outside Japan. Thanks to you two, I'm pretty sure having a role model like you will be a great inspiration for them actually to get out of Japan and create a global impact. So please join me thanking two of my amazing leaders.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.